Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'll be finishing my Conference League 2024 predictions for the rest of the season. Like I said, I'll be completing all of the Uefa brackets this week and finalizing my predictions as I want to focus on international football content. Make sure you check out my Europa League predictions video as well. I uploaded it earlier today. Yes, double upload on the channel, but don't get used to it. Anyway, this underrated competition deserves the love, so make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into that first match, starting off with Aston Villa versus Lille. Aston Villa have been the favorites of this competition now for some time. A side that has been in some questionable form lately, conceding many goals in the Premier League, is still in the top 4 race, sharing points with Tottenham and trailing at 5th. The leaky goals for sure come from a few injuries in the back line, including Mings and Matty Cash. In the Conference League though, they've recently obliterated Ajax in the second leg, defeating them 4-0. And it's evident that the attack can still turn up in this competition, with Ollie Watkins being in some fantastic form throughout the season. He's the top goal scorer and assister for the club, 31 direct goal contributions in the Premier League and Conference League combined. Along with the wingers turning up, Bailey and Diaby are electric. John McGinn has been immense this season for club and country. Too many players to go over. There's no denying their quality right now as a whole, but the biggest talking point is always their manager, Unai Emery. I've said it in many other videos already. He has proved himself many times in European Cup competitions. And what he has to his disposal on paper compared to the other clubs in this competition makes me think they are still one of the favorites. Let's not completely ignore Lille though. They have been undefeated the entire month of March and so far in April, as they've just defeated Marseille over the weekend 3-1. They have a serious threat in the striker role along with Aston Villa. Jonathan David has continued to be immense up top for the club, 21 direct goal contributions in their domestic league and Conference League. The youngster in the defense, Lenioro, has had an absolute come up this year. Just 18 years old and a regular starter for the club. Zagrova from Kosovo, Haraldson from Iceland. This team have some serious difference makers. Lille do have a top 4 spot in their domestic league, and their form recently suggests they'll be able to maintain it. So I don't think this will be an absolute cakewalk for Aston Villa, because based on current form, this is actually a very even matchup. And Lille are much more secure in many ways compared to Aston Villa's previous opponents, Ajax. And despite me just praising Aston Villa, they have not been necessarily that invincible throughout the competition. They struggled against Legia Warsaw, for example, going away. If they take Lille lightly, that would be a massive mistake because, like I said, there are some serious ballers on this team. Fonseca is also a great manager who can easily break down a side like Aston Villa. This might be closer than people think, but I still have Aston Villa advancing to the semifinals. In the first leg, I'll say it's a 1-1 draw in England, but then in the second, I'll say Aston Villa get a 2-1 away victory to advance to the Conference League semifinals. The other match on this side of the bracket is Olympiacos versus Fenerbache. I really love this Fenerbahce side. I do hope they pull through in this competition with my Balkan bias, as they have some of my favorite players like Dzeko, Tadic, and Livakovic. But the club has been going through a lot of controversy in the Turkish Superliga, with them still in talks to even participate after that brawl against Trabzonspor, to protest while facing Galatasaray in the cup final. I'm just not sure where this team will be at mentally going into this competition. Obviously, it's not based in Turkey, but still, the players, the staff, they've all been going through a lot. But maybe now they'll want to make even more of a statement since this match is not based in Turkey. Based on their last performances though, they defeated an in-form Union St-Gilloise. Meanwhile, Olympiacos' story in the last round of the Conference League is even crazier. They lost to Tel Aviv in the round of 16 4-1 in the first leg at home, but came back in the second, defeating them 6-1. The match finished 7-5 on aggregate and was one of the craziest round of 16 matchups so far. The attack went all out with the likes of El Kaabi scoring a brace, Jovetic getting on the score sheet as well. This side has just shown us that they have a lot of fight in them, even when it's looking doubtful given the circumstances. So although Fenerbahce had one hell of a transfer window and might edge them out on paper, underestimating Olympiacos for even one of the legs would be a massive mistake, as Fenerbahce slipped to Union St-Gilloise in the second leg but only conceded 1 goal, obviously still allowing them to advance since they scored more in the first leg. But at the same time, Olympiacos very much need to prepare their defense better going into this match, because against Tel Aviv, they look to be very much exposed. Fenerbahce, with the attack they have, will show no mercy to a disorganized defense, as they have been scoring goals for fun this season. The passion for this matchup will be extraordinary from both sides, and I think it's one of the best quarterfinal matchups we have for this competition. I could see it being high scoring for both sides, truly. You know what, in the first leg, I'm going to say Olympiacos grab a 2-1 victory, but then in the second, Fenerbahce win 4-3. 5-5 on aggregate, Fenerbahce win on penalties. They advance to the semifinals, but I would not be surprised if I'm wrong. Let's see. Moving on to the other side of the bracket, Viktoria Plzen versus Fiorentina. Fiorentina might look like the favorites on paper, but let's not rule out the Czech side. They have had one of the best defensive records in this competition. They only conceded 1 goal so far in the entire tournament, as in their last fixture in the round of 16 against Servette, it finished in 2 0-0 draws over both legs, and they advanced on penalties, which obviously may be exposes their firepower up top, but they can definitely frustrate Fiorentina with their defensive tactics. Fiorentina defeated Maccabi Haifa in the round of 16, but it was close with a 5-4 aggregate scoreline. Overall, through many of their matches recently, they have been showing that they should be converting more chances. And with sometimes their inconsistent forward options, there's no reason why Viktoria Plzen could not frustrate them with their incredible defense. Viktoria Plzen just had their worst ever performance in the Czech League this season against Liberec, conceding 3 there, but other than that, they have been solid there too. Pavel Suc has been incredible, but they will be missing their impressive center forward Duro Sinmi as he's injured for the rest of the season. They are 3rd in the league behind Slavia and Sparta, while Fiorentina and the City are all the way at 10th after getting exposed in a bit too many matches. Despite Maccabi Haifa versus Fiorentina being a bit high scoring, I see this matchup in particular translating more to what happened for Viktoria Plzen, where it's much more low scoring. Especially for that first leg, I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw, but then in the second, once it's played in Florence, I'm going to say Fiorentina do find some late goal and they win 1-0, advancing to the semifinals for a second consecutive time in a row. We'll see if they'll be able to make it to the finals once again as well. And that final quarterfinal matchup we'll be looking at, although we will be finishing the rest of the bracket as well, Club Brugge versus PAOK. Just like Olympiacos, PAOK had an incredible comeback story in the round of 16, which I am very upset about. After losing to Dinamo 2-0 at home, the Croatian club got too comfortable in Greece and got annihilated 5-1. PAOK have been in very solid form as they are top of the table in Greece after a few losses in February, including 4-1 to Olympiacos and an exit to Panathinaikos in the Cup semifinal. They are back on track. But Club Brugge are an incredible team. They topped their impressive group over the likes of Besiktas. Igor Thiago and Skov Olsen have accumulated impressive numbers up top and can be serious threats in this match. I think both teams show incredible attacking play, and it's really going to break down to which side is more organized in the defensive department. PAOK have that incredible counter-attacking ability and could potentially throw Club Brugge off. I don't know, maybe I could be totally off on this, but I have PAOK advancing to the semifinals with a 1-1 draw in the first leg and a 3-1 victory in the second once they play in Greece. This now brings us to the semifinal bracket, and here are my matchups. We have Aston Villa taking on Fenerbahce, which will be seriously intense, followed with Fiorentina versus PAOK. Let's start off with Fenerbahce versus Aston Villa. Like I said, Aston Villa look to be the favorites in this competition. Unai Emery being that key factor, and the fact that they're racing for top 4 currently in the Premier League with so much competition is a massive statement. A seriously competitive side this year, but unfortunately, like I said, they have been exposed when they go away to hostile environments. So Fenerbahce will not be easy to play against when they go to Istanbul for sure. Fenerbahce have incredible talent, but with Emery having so much experience in European Cup competitions like winning the Europa League a few times, along with making it to the semifinals of the Champions League with Villarreal, that's just too massive to count them out, so I'm saying Aston Villa advance to the final, but I will not be surprised if I'm wrong. The other semifinal matchup between Fiorentina and PAOK. On the surface, it looks like Fiorentina should be the ones to escape here, but I do think PAOK have what it takes to bully them. The incredible attacking force from the Greek side can make it very high scoring over both legs, and they'll be very motivated to make it to the final because it will be played in Greece. Now, Fiorentina, despite their poor form in the Serie A, this season and last season, they have proven to be a very solid cup side. They made it to the Conference League and Coppa Italia final last season, losing both obviously. Now they're still in the midst of playing in that Coppa Italia semifinal, and they're obviously still in the race for this competition. Really tough one to call, but I'm going to go for what many could potentially consider an upset here and say PAOK advance to the final, which would be an insane feat for Aston Villa in that final match, as you already know the atmosphere in Greece would be next level. It will be tough to overcome that pressure, but I do think Aston Villa has what it takes to lift the trophy at the end. Maybe narrowly, but they will do the job against PAOK and win the 3rd ever Conference League trophy, being the 2nd Premier League team to do so as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Maybe the Aston Villa hype is a bit too much, but I definitely think they still have what it takes to win the whole thing. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Boa noite.